Most of the compact cars in the 1970s had unique styling when compared to their larger counterparts. For instance, Ford's very popular compact car, the Maverick, which debuted for the 1970 model year, had styling that was different from Ford's midsize and full-size cars at the time. Though the Maverick was a very popular car that was extremely profitable, a few years into Maverick production, Ford had decided that the Maverick replacement would be a different type of car. The Maverick's replacement was the Granada, which debuted for the 1975 model year. The name was borrowed from a European Ford model which had no relation to the US version. The Maverick still remained popular and continued production through the 1977 model year. Where the Granada was different than the Maverick was its formal boxy styling versus the Maverick's more sporty, streamlined semi-fastback styling. Ford crafted the new Granada's styling so that it would look like a mini version of its popular full-size LTD and its popular mid-size two-door 1974 Ford Gran Torino Elite, which starting in 1975 became the Ford Elite. In the 1970s, the personal luxury car replaced the performance car as the status symbol car. It was a market that the Ford Thunderbird had started in 1958 when it received a second seating row. Ford was trying to tap into the lower end of this market segment by marketing the Granada as a more upscale compact car, which was available in both two-door and four-door models, both of which had a very formal roofline. There was also a four-door station wagon version available for the 1981 and 1982 model years. The Granada was built on a unibody platform and was in production from 1975 through 1982. The 1975 to 1980 Granada was the first generation. Its boxy styling was accompanied by a formal vertical front grille surrounded by single round headlights, one on each side, from 1975 to 1977. For 1978, the front end was restyled with a new square headlight design and a new rear end design. The 1981 to 1982 Granada is the second generation and was built on Ford's Fox platform. It still was boxy, but it was a more streamlined, squarish styling. Though still a formal-looking car, its aerodynamics were far superior to the previous generation Granada. The 1981 to 1982 Granada received quad square headlights. The 1975 to 1980 Granada was considered a compact car, while the slightly smaller 1981 to 1982 Granada was considered a mid-size car. The reason for the change was the drastic downsizing all U.S. cars had undergone by 1981. Ford's Lincoln Mercury division also produced two cars based on the Granada. For Mercury, it was the 1975 to 1980 Mercury Monarch, which you had to take a second look at to see the difference between it and the Granada. Lincoln's version was the very upscale 1977 to 1980 Versailles, which had the finest luxury options available at the time. Though the Versailles had the Granada's overall body shape, its styling was unique and looked the part of being a competitor to the ultra-luxury Cadillac Seville. The 1975 to 1982 Ford Granada would be considered a full-size car in today's car market, so it comes as no surprise that its interior was spacious and could seat comfortably 5 to 6 adults, depending on front seating configuration. Seating surface choices included basic vinyl, cloth, and upgraded cloth. Surprisingly, Ford also managed to offer in the Granada for a limited time a leather seating option. There were numerous power and convenience options available during every model year. The Granada's trunk space by today's standards would be considered very large. Though the Granada was offered in numerous different trim levels over its 8-year model run, two really stand out: the Ghia, which was a luxury trim model, and the ESS, which was short for European Sports Sedan. The ESS was available from 1978 to 1980 and included blacked out exterior trim and other European-inspired exterior accents. The ESS really looked the part when equipped with the following options: leather-wrapped steering wheel and a center console which housed the automatic shifter. Inside the Granada's cabin, Ford went a little crazy with the simulated wood dash trim, but it was a very popular trend at the time. Ford had a really popular TV and print ad campaign during the 1970s, where it compared the Granada to a Mercedes-Benz.
Introducing a new 1978 Ford Granada, the ESS. Can you tell it from this impressive $20,000 Mercedes 280 SE? Granada, Mercedes, Granada, Mercedes, Granada, Mercedes. The new Ford Granada ESS. See how close you can come to the look of a $20,000 Mercedes at the price of a Granada.
When the 1975 Granada debuted, it had all of the Maverick's engines available: the 200 cubic inch 3.3-liter straight six, the 250 cubic inch 4.1-liter straight six, and a two-barrel carburetor-equipped 302 cubic inch 5-liter small block V8. These engine choices remained through 1977. From 1975 to 1977, the Granada was available with a two-barrel carburetor-equipped 351 cubic inch 5.8-liter small block V8, which was not available in the Maverick. However, before you start celebrating, it was rated between 135 and 152 horsepower, depending on model year. The 302 V8 was available in the Granada from 1975 to 1980 and produced anywhere from 122 to 139 horsepower, depending on production year. Worth noting, the 302 could provide good performance when outfitted with the available 4-speed manual transmission instead of the 3-speed automatic transmission. Not many 302 Granadas were produced with the 4-speed, but they sure were fun to drive. The good low-end torque of the 302 and 351 V8s made these engines worth the extra price. The 302 and 351 may have been tuned for fuel economy, but with very modest, inexpensive performance upgrades, 200-plus horsepower was a piece of cake. With more aggressive mods, 300-plus horsepower was obtainable for these two V8s. The 200 straight six bit the dust by 1978. The 250 straight six was the only remaining six-cylinder from 1978 to 1980. Starting in 1978, the 302 V8 was the only V8 remaining. For 1981, the 302 V8 was replaced with a 115 horsepower, two-barrel carbureted, 255 cubic inch, 4.2-liter V8, and the 200 cubic inch, 3.3-liter straight six returned, replacing the 250 straight six. Worth noting, the two-barrel 4.2-liter V8 made its debut in the Granada as the base engine in the California market 1980 Granada. A 140 cubic inch 2.3-liter four-cylinder was a new addition to the Granada starting in 1981. All 1981 engines carried over to 1982 unchanged. However, early in the 1982 production run, the 200 straight six was replaced by Ford's brand new 3.8-liter V6, which produced 112 horsepower. Ford, with the Granada, had correctly read the wants and needs of its customers. Its sales were very good. The Granada was reliable transportation which gave frugal buyers a more upscale car for their money. Granada production was slightly over 300,000 units for 1975, and even during a bad U.S. economic recession during the 1982 model year, Granada production was still very good with slightly over 120,000 units produced. When Ford redesigned the Granada for 1983, it decided to rename it the LTD and rename the full-size LTD the LTD Crown Victoria. Sales were still good, but Ford had plans yet again to move in a different direction. The boxy, more compact traditional vertical grille rear-wheel drive cars that were so popular in the 1970s, like the Granada, were in the 1980s being replaced by more fuel-efficient, aerodynamic front-wheel drive cars. In 1986, the all-new ultra-aerodynamic front-wheel drive Taurus replaced the LTD. Even though Ford has never brought back the Granada name in the U.S., the Granada did serve Ford and the customers who bought one very well, since it was an attractive, reliable, and upscale car that fit many customers' limited budgets. Thank you so much for your support of this channel. Please subscribe, since your support is the reason this channel is a success. And please make sure to click on the bell icon so that you never miss a new video release.